Hello guys, today in this video we'll be talking about IAM, and that is IAM, Identity and Access Management. So basically what is IAM? So IAM is actually a framework that allows organizations to manage their permissions across their cloud resources. This can be Google GCP, AWS, or Microsoft Azure. So, and this helps organizations to give users and services the right level of access and not over giving them access. There are basically four components in IAM, Identity and Access Management. They are identity, roles, policies, and then resource hierarchy. So in the area of identity, we are talking about users. Users can be from security, the, the security to up to the CEO levels, and they are all users in an organization. So we can talk about groups. Groups can be a set of users that are brought together that made up a group. So we can say, for example, all the executive in an organization can be in a particular group, or all the backend engineers can be in a particular group. So, and then a certain level of privileges or permissions will be given to them on what level of access to resources they can access. Service accounts, yes, can be virtual machine, can be devices from many sources connected to your cloud resources that are having access to some data. And this can also be Google Workspace. And that can be where users are managed. We have rule, permission that define what an identity can do. Like remember, identity is group, user, service account, or whatever. So the permission that are attached to them for every set of user is what roles are. You can kind of see this as, for example, in a house, let's say in a family house where we have like 4 rooms, 5, 6 rooms, and there's an entrance door. Of course, the entrance door allow everybody to come in, but in each of the rooms, there is a door that prevents somebody from leaving the sitting room and entering if he doesn't have the right privilege or key to enter. That is kind of permission. So, for example, the master bedroom, if it's only meant for the master, only him has the key to access it. So that is how rules are. Permissions, the next ones are policies. Policies are rules attached to identities and the level of access of what they can do with the permissions that are given. For example, if you give somebody a compute engine role, that is to create a VM. Yeah. So if he creates a VM, he might be able to create a VM, or you give him compute engine role. What policies are attached to it might be he can create a VM or he can only view a VM. So anything VM is what he can access. So he can't do above VM. So if you try to access Google Cloud Storage, you might have an issue with that because he has not given that policy. Then these project permissions can actually, or IAM policies can be inherited or tied from both organization level, folder level, or project level up to the resources level. Now let's talk about IAM rules for this particular video. So there are basically 3 primitive rules that are inherited or that are very broad that are not really recommended in Google Cloud. They might also apply for other resources like Microsoft Azure and AWS. So they are the owner role, the editor role, and the viewer role. Like we say, they are not recommended. They are more kind of legacy, carry them. So you inherited them, so but we don't want to go with them because they are too broad. So if we don't avoid them, we might just not be following the principle of least privilege. Of course, security at its peak require that we follow the principle of least privilege. So give somebody the right access, the required access to just what he or she needs to perform his tasks in an organization, not over permissioning. So they are also what they call predefined roles. They are kind of recommended, but they are still kind of broader, but they are much better than those the other primitive or legacy rule. So they are, for example, you can assign a compute engine role to a user, a service account, or a group, and they will be able to access all the compute engine resources that are assigned to them, or the storage resources, which is the storage admin role or the security viewer role. But we are, like I said, they are kind of broader. Now, let's look at what they are called constant roles that are highly recommended. So in that instance, we might just have to narrow, for example, if we give compute engine slash admin role, we might just say, okay, that we want the user to only have the reader role only, not just the admin role. So that is kind of good, because what if the person doesn't need the admin role and he just needs to only view a particular resources on a set of projects? For example, he might say, okay, let him view only um, a set of resources on a particular BigQuery data, and on a set of particular table, not all the data sets. So it's kind of good. Let him just view what he or she needed for that role. So like we said before, IAM is made up of permissions, group, users, and an identity. So like we said, identity can be users, there can be service account, there can be groups. So, and then in there we have permission, that is rules, what this identity can actually do. So we have policies. So now in this video, let's quickly see what this means. So if you go to your Google Cloud resources and go to IAM here, you see that here I have some inherited roles already. So basically this is me here, and I have the BigQuery admin role, editor role, and owner and viewer role. So I can actually decide to add more roles to myself. For example, I can add the compute engine role to myself. So I need to edit this. Yes, I can add one more role, and then I can remove some. Let's see. This is the custom role we are talking about. So you see that they are kind of very narrow, you see. So, but let's, for example, let me just add myself, give myself compute engine role. I can actually search for it here. Compute. Yeah, compute admin role, full access to all VMs. So I'll just save this. Now, so you can see that I now have the compute admin role. So now this, I have a service account here. This service account has the owner role. I can actually decide to remove this owner role, or decide to add a condition to it. So how long have access to this role of being a owner? You can decide to say, okay, let me say timed role, time role, and then I can decide to add a description of what that I want him to do. Then I can now say, okay, when I want him to expire day of the hour, and I'll set before, that is before so time, before, let's say work, before work closes by 4 p.m. No, before 5 p.m. Before on before 5 p.m. So immediately it's after that, you will not be able to access it. Then I have to check the location of where, let's say we are doing Africa. Let's look for Africa here, West Africa, not Central. Let's just go with this Central Africa. So you can select this and save it. So immediately it may not be add to the basic rule. Okay. Okay, let's give him an editor role, which is not on that, can only be applied to custom role. So let's say we can apply that to custom role. Let's apply that policy or that condition to a custom role that we are managing. Yeah. So immediately it's that past 5, the service account cannot be able to access that the owner role that is assigned to him. Like we said, we need to manage all this. For example, if you want him to access it tomorrow again, you might have to manage your resources yourself. So here we can add and remove grant permissions. For example, I can actually add principal, like we remember, is identity. Let's say, assuming we have so many users here, but unfortunately in this case, we don't really have plenty users. But I will just use myself in a set case. So I'll just copy my email address and grant myself more privileges. I add it here. assuming we have many users in this, because there's no organization attached to this project or this Google account. So in this one, I'll give myself a custom role that's uh, it's rolling now. So let's give ourselves, let me assign myself role in, I think I can narrow the search here, storage, that allow me only to view. So this is just to view storage for Firebase only. So I cannot do anything above to view and store, to view storage on firewall only. So I can actually do more than that. So I can actually remove privilege. I can actually remove roles. So if you want to remove, you need to click this particular one and then click remove. So, but in this case, I don't want to remove the service account role in this time. So we can see that's the condition we attach to this particular VM. So basically that is just it. So we can apply the the principle of least privileges when we are assigning role. And like we say, custom roles are highly recommended. So they narrow down the kind of level of access we give users. So I hope that's what's in our next video. We might just talk about how we can actually manage custom role in a more effective way.